Been testing out the PPC M1R for a couple months now. I've had a decent amount of sessions with this wing. I've got the 6 meter version. I'm really liking it. It's a lot of fun to go super fast, to feel really efficient through the water, and it really matches my style of riding. But I hadn't really tested out the low end, and I kind of had this inkling that race wings didn't have great low end, but I wanted to test it to be sure. So that's exactly what I did. I went to Green Point one weekend and rigged up the M1R, even though it was 5 to 8 knots. I had my Eagle X 600 with the downwind 135 tail on the 105 mast, 70 litre board. I'm about 80-ish kilos at the moment. And yeah, I surprised myself, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. I launched and floated around for about 40 minutes, just frustrated, trying to get a gust that would work and nothing really happening. I knew that in the past I had to push through these tricky conditions to understand how I can be efficient with the wing and get the most power out of an underpowered situation. And then that'll translate to every other session that I have. If you have the ability to get every ounce of power out of the wing, then you'll be faster in moderate breeze, you'll be faster in stronger breeze, and you'll know exactly how to take power out of the wing as well. The crucial part about going out in light winds is you do get punished for not having efficient technique. The moment you step too hard on the board whilst pushing your weight through the foil, you'll stall the foil out and the progress you made in pumping up on the foil will be completely killed, and you'll have to start all over again. It's moments like that that add to that data pool that you have of how much pressure you can put through your foil, how much power you can pull out of the wing, and you'll know exactly how to get the most out of both. So the point of this session was to bank up some experience with those skills with the M1R, and then ultimately figure out what the low end was using the gear that I like to use most of the time. So I'm going to open up the Waterspeed web app. If you haven't seen it, you can get access to all the data that you get through the mobile app in the web app. And you'll see that the session tells me the wind data for that day was 6 knots. So that's, I guess, the average wind speed. I was definitely seeing gusts of up to 12 knots. And I think that's what ultimately got me onto foil after I spent a bunch of time trying to get onto foil. This session didn't capture that first chunk of time. Captured 8 minutes after I essentially had been out for 40, went back in, almost packed up, saw a bit more breeze, and then went back out. And within 8 minutes of hitting start on my watch and getting down to the water and getting out, I was able to jump onto foil. And you can see some pretty awesome stats with the race wing in that sort of breeze. I mean, I hit 23.6 knots in 6 to 12 knots of wind. That's insane, and a massive reason why I love using the PPC M1R. You'll also notice I actually crashed and I managed to get back on foil pretty quickly. Again, it was sort of gusting 12 knots, and that's where I see the low end using a 600 square centimeter foil, a 70 litre board. I can see myself getting on foil with the downwind board, my Eagle X 900 in under 8 knots with a race wing and absolutely ripping around. I think that'll be a lot of fun, so something to test out in the future. If you're wondering what the difference is between a standard wing and a race wing in terms of low end, the things I found obvious on the day was, and with my experience of the M1R so far, is it's heavier. It's got battens, it's got a second skin. It's ultimately going to be heavier than your standard wing. So for me, I had previously got up in conditions like that with the same foil and board using a 5.5 meter standard wing. I see that 0.5 meter difference making up for the extra weight of the wing, and also maybe the extra depth that has that low end grunt of a standard wing. My recommendation would be, go 0.5 square meter up if you're trying to chase the wing that matches the same low end, and ultimately you'll get a whole bunch more top end. Like I find the race wing has much more ability to handle big conditions, just because you don't get as much of that turbulent flow from the leading edge tracking all the way back to the trailing edge. That's where I find the M1R is an absolute weapon and so much fun to just use for, mowing the lawn at your local spot and sending it around, being the fastest thing on the water. upwind, downwind at pace, so much fun. Obviously, it's not going to be the thing for the person that wants to boost upwind, turn around and come back downwind and surf waves. It flags out, but it's definitely heavier and it's not designed specifically for that use. So, you know, if you're looking for something that does that, then obviously a standard wing's the go. But yeah, if you're looking for something to push that performance on the water and maybe you want to go and do some racing at some point, then the M1R is an awesome wing to use. As mentioned, just step up that half a square meter to make up for that little bit of extra weight and you'll be able to manage it. Especially if you're the person that's gotten used to using the harness line with a wing. You'll hook in and you'll be super comfortable. If you have got the M1R and you're working through some of the difficulties of a race style wing, I've got this video on how to tack the M1R that it will really help you out. So go check that out and let me know what you think about this in the comments below.